All right. Well, today, the 25th of August, 2018, Songbird McCain died. Songbird McCain was afforded special privileges when he was a POW in Vietnam, where he basically sold out his fellow POWs and was, treated with privilege by the Viet Cong. They called him Songbird because he gave up military secrets while he was in incarceration as a POW. And they, for 40 years have called him Songbird McCain. And he's opposed all efforts, to find POWs in Vietnam, denying that they even exist, and opposing the special counsels to research and retrieve POWs in Vietnam. He is absolutely not going to be missed. Not in this house. Not in anybody I know. They call him a Republican, but a Republican in name only. The guy supported almost everything Obama did. Very, very few things did he oppose. He sold out to anybody, to the highest dollar, basically. So here's Ron Swanson.
When I walked in this morning and saw the flag was at half-mast, I thought, all right, another bureaucrat ate it. When I walked in...
Right? I'm good with that. I'm not a big fan of bureaucrats. I think our government is corrupt, and I think we've lost our way. Let's listen to about John McCain here. Let's get a little more information about Songbird and just how he treats the POWs. I know there's going to be a lot of these idiots out there, possibly former military or whatever, mourning John McCain, or probably Barack Obama will be there sobbing because of how special of a relationship they had or whatever. But I don't miss him at all. He was a tyrant for our country, opposing so many freedoms and tax reform and things that would free us from slavery in this country. I mean, we are absolute slaves in this country where they tax us on our income. Slaves get taxed for their labor. Slaves owe their labor to the government or to the master. We're slaves because that's us. We owe a third or a fourth, depending on who you are, of our labor to the government. We're slaves, and this man wanted to keep us slaves, and he also didn't give a shit about POWs in Vietnam. Let's listen to a little bit more about Songbird McCain.
My answer is please get a life.
I'll tell you, what's not said on the television and will not be said on the television is how much Vietnam veterans and POWs hate John McCain.
The Senate felt compelled to set up the select committee, and that it took them 9 months to set up the committee, mainly because of the opposition of Senator McCain, who was bitterly opposed to any attempt to find the POWs, which is remarkable, seeing that he was a POW himself.
No instance would he ever give in and say there were POWs left behind. And my first question is, how would he know or not know? So just that which is reasonable he never exhibited, and I don't know why. Maybe it's a guilt complex. Maybe he promised the Vietnamese something. Okay, and I don't know what it is. And maybe he actually believes that. That would be the saddest of all.
He probably did more harm to the idea of trying to get the truth out than any other single person through the efforts he did to block the release of classified intelligence dealing with the POWMIA problem.
McCain stepped in and, in effect, made it harder to get documentation. That certainly hurt us because we had hoped for a massive release of documentation.
Many documents were held back for no reason, and our goal on the committee was to just dump this stuff, to declassify it literally to the public. But of course, they withheld information from the committee. The U.S. government held all kinds of information from the committee, withheld information from the committee. I know that for a fact.
He didn't want nobody to check his background, because a lot of POWs that were with him in the camp said he was a collaborator of the enemy. And he didn't want nobody looking into his background in the camp, what went on in that camp. That stuff is still classified, so nobody can see it. And he just had it classified forever. so nobody will ever look at it.
Even POWs we knew who wanted to see their own debriefings were not permitted because of the McCain regulation.
But where did McCain get compliments for doing this? The bureaucrats at the Pentagon.
Right.
Because it put a workload on them. It put a workload on them for missing in action people. And did we need that bill to handle a Scott Spiker case? Oh, you bet we did.
And also what it did, and this is what he really opposed, and if you remember the contentiousness we got into him in his office, was that it would hold the bureaucrats accountable by penalty of law.
That's
if
right.
they lied or if they withheld information.
That's right.
And he fought tooth and nail to protect those bureaucrats.
Yes.
Because they were protecting him.
I could never understand that. Why would we, if someone was guilty of withholding information that would help us to solve the mystery of what happened to an MIA and did it deliberately, why would we not want to prosecute that person? So I could never understand it. I thought the language was written. I know Bob Dornan had a hand in it. I thought the language was written very well. I supported it, fought for it hard in the U.S. Senate and mostly on the Armed Services Committee where we debated it. But it was watered down to basically where it was almost worthless.
Now, one of the things that happened with that bill is that we were submarined. The House side, we passed it with no, I don't believe anybody opposed it. It was a pretty much unanimous vote.
401-0 on the House, with every single Republican who is serving sponsoring it, and about a third of the Democrats.
But on the Senate side, we had one person standing in the way of getting in positions that would have been very tough on government bureaucrats who didn't tell the truth. And that one person was Senator John McCain.
John McCain and John Kerry both were not pursuing this with the same approach that I was.
He insisted that no committee be set up unless he was chairman. Obviously, his intent was to kill everything.
Okay, I appreciate you inviting me here, but what I don't understand is this: you're supposed to have a committee of 12.
All my congressmen from Connecticut walked out. All the senators were on that panel. They all walked away. McCain took off. Kerry took off. All that evidence was coming out in Korea because they knew that if they came and listened to the truth, they'd have to keep the hearings open.
They didn't want any information. So they weren't interested in doing anything with the information other than trying to discredit it.
North Korea did not return a large number of American servicemen at the end of the war, and that some of the men left behind were sent to communist China and to the Soviet Union. Internal documents and statements made at the time also show that our government believed that men were still alive in captivity, and until only a few months ago has kept that reality from the American people. It has covered up what it knew through a pattern of denial, misleading statements, in some cases lies, and by doing so with regard to the Korean conflict, it broke its commitment with the people who put on the uniform to fight for the freedoms and protection that we and our allies enjoy today.
What I found interesting was that, coincidental to Kerry running the committee, Vietnam gave to Kerry's family sole rights for the negotiation of all real estate issues within Vietnam.
And I'll feel the same way when John Kerry dies. I absolutely have no regret, no mourning, no respect for them whatsoever. I'm glad he's dead. John McCain can fuck right off. This is my tribute to John McCain.
When I walked in this morning and saw the flag was at half-mast, I thought, all right, another bureaucrat ate it.
Yep, I'm done with him. Good riddance. Good luck in hell. Or wherever the hell you go. If there is a hell. And if there isn't, fuck you anyway.